Question trap alert. We are diving straight in to the exact trap hidden in Cambridge command words that is literally causing IGCSE computer science students to bleed massive marks. Look, if you've just been memorizing HTML tags in isolation, thinking that's going to be enough to secure a top grade in your 0478 exam, you are setting yourself up for a massive confidence shock. Today, we're fixing that. We are moving you away from basic robotic recognition straight into top-band, examiner-pleasing application.
So, are you falling into the generic HTML question trap? It is such a classic mistake. You write down a short, isolated label to describe an HTML function, but you completely fail to anchor that explanation to the specific digital scenario they gave you in the question. You might know exactly what a tag does in theory, but if you just treat it as an isolated fact, the examiner simply cannot and will not award you top marks.
Here is the bottom line. Generic responses equal lost marks. Period. It puts your grade boundaries at severe risk. If the question gives you a specific context, maybe it's a school network, an office, an embedded system, or even a robot, your answer has to live entirely inside that context. Context is king. You absolutely must connect your theoretical knowledge of web page structure to the exact practical consequence it has for that specific user or organization.
Section 1. Why ordinary revision fails. See, students often know the theory perfectly well, but they lose easy marks by merely naming a concept instead of explaining how it actually works. Or worse, they mix up similar terms. Think about how often people confuse memory with storage or a protocol with a service. Sometimes you might even state a perfectly valid advantage of a web structure, but you give absolutely zero reasoning to back it up. You've got to shift your mindset. Stop just regurgitating a label and start explaining exactly how it functions in a given scenario.
These are the classic wrong turns you really have to avoid. Using vague wording, skipping over essential process steps, totally ignoring the scenario they built for you, or describing a completely different technology just because it sounds kind of related. Your dense revision notes have to train you to actively compare concepts, because if they don't, well, when you get into that exam hall, you risk panicking and just word vomiting everything you know about HTML onto the page with absolutely no direction.
Actually, let me hold that thought for a second. In a moment, I'll show you the exact examiner clue that changes your HTML answer completely. But first, you need the 4-prompt memory framework that makes that clue completely obvious. Because without this framework, you're just going to keep falling right back into the exact same trap.
Section 2. The technical methodology and 4-prompt framework. Okay, to guarantee that examiner-style performance, you need to follow this disciplined path every single time. Step 1. Identify the exact requirement of the task. Step 2. Classify the relevant data, hardware, software, or algorithmic structure. Step 3. Explain how the process works in a clear, logical sequence, something another learner could easily follow. And Step 4, the big one, always connect it back to the context. Double-check if the question is asking for causes, effects, advantages, or design decisions.
To really lock this in, we use a super reliable 4-prompt memory structure. It starts off incredibly simple. Prompt 1, what exactly is the HTML concept? And I mean, don't just give a basic label like, oh, it's a head tag or it's an anchor tag. Define its actual purpose. What specific digital problem does it solve? When you answer this first, the terminology suddenly becomes meaningful rather than just some memorized string of text you're praying you'll remember.
Next up is Prompt 2. How does it work? You have got to be able to explain the process clearly in a sequence. If you're talking about how a web page is structured using a body tag, or exactly how presentation is separated from content using external CSS, you need to break that process down step by step. The examiner is actively hunting for precision here, not just a vague, hand-wavy overview.
Then we hit Prompt 3. Where is it used? This is where your real-world transfer kicks in. Those same structural patterns in HTML, they might appear in smartphones, retail networks, banking apps, or school systems. Showing these links proves to the examiner that you don't just know the name of the concept, but you understand the actual, real-world reason for deploying it in a live environment.
Finally, Prompt 4. Why is it better or worse than an alternative? You've got to justify your choice. Like, what are the actual practical consequences for the user, the system, or the organization if they choose method A over method B? If you can confidently answer these 4 prompts out loud for any given topic, your knowledge is 100% ready for the exam.
Section 3. Applying HTML to scenarios, the Spot the Error Challenge.
Let's think about two completely different ways to answer a question. A flawed generic answer is just going to list facts about HTML. It spits out a definition, but literally nothing more. An improved top-band answer, on the other hand, correctly anchors the explanation to the specific details provided in the scenario. Let's say it's a retail system. That top-band answer explains the exact data involved, the rendering process taking place, and the practical bottom-line consequences for that specific retail organization. It uses precise terminology, and it connects every single dot.
So, did you spot the error in that first, flawed approach? If not, it's because it completely failed to address the specific consequences of the design decision for that given organization. It totally missed the real-world transfer. Remember, questions in this 0478 syllabus constantly combine pure theory with applied reasoning. You can't just drop a textbook definition and run for the hills. You have to evaluate the method within their specific scenario.
Section 4. The examiner's final checklist. A truly strong revision cycle takes 3 distinct passes. Pass 1, secure your key definitions and, crucially, your contrasts. You have to know the difference between similar-sounding terms. Pass 2, rehearse your worked explanations, your diagrams, or your code-like structures so your logical sequence is absolutely flawless. And Pass 3, focus entirely on exam adaptability. Start changing up the scenarios. Go from a school network to a robotics lab to a media processing system, and practice justifying your choices in each unique context.
Before you submit any exam answer on web page structure, run it through this quick pre-submission check. Ask yourself, have I diagnosed the demand correctly? Have I stayed completely inside the context of the scenario? And did I actually answer what the question wanted, whether that was a cause, an effect, an advantage, or an evaluation? If you diagnose the demand right from the start, you will never write blindly.
Okay, so now you've got the framework to dodge those generic HTML answers and really anchor your theory to the context. That is a massive leap forward, but listen closely, because you are still at risk from a second, even bigger trap that is lurking deep inside the examiner reports for this exact paper. You absolutely have to know what it is. So, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE, to excel in your Cambridge examinations, and join me in the next explainer to uncover exactly how to avoid it. Until then, ask yourself this: if the examiner changed the context of your next question, from a high school to a top-secret robotics lab, would your HTML knowledge actually survive the transfer? See you in the next one.